people? How are we doing? Welcome back to the channel. Wow, what a weekend of football. We're here to discuss it on the Monday Roundup show with myself, lead judges, and we've got Dan, BDB Dan. There's too many Dans, isn't there? It's very confusing. We should have Flawless jumping on. No Martin or Henry today, I don't think, because, Henry's on holiday and Martin is away as well. But he's not away crying, people, because Man City are rubbish. That's important to add. Big up to everybody that's here. Make sure you do me a favor, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel. We've got Lead Judges TV, Football's 12th Man, and BDB Dan, of course, as well. Boys, there's only one place to start, and that's Manchester City. Judges, are they out of it now?
Whoa, I'd like to think so. I would like to think so. After yesterday's performance, listen, I don't know how Liverpool fans feel. I think they'd be on cloud nine because they were fantastic yesterday. But I think it was they missed opportunity. I think they could have got about 4 or 5 yesterday. I'd be disappointed if Arsenal didn't get 4 or 5 against them. They were awful. And I tell you what's great about Man City there. Someone like Big Steve, I've got a lot of time for old Big Steve. Oh, we put a little bit more into it today. Like, yeah. Did ya? You know what I mean? What, you put a bit more into the warm-up? Pathetic they were, like, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, Pep, you know what I mean? He's got to take a lot of blame for it and all that, like, you know. Where is this magnificent manager and coach? Where is he? You know what I mean? Like, you know, checkbook manager, someone said the other day, and I'm starting to go along that route, like, you know. It's all right when you got your best players. It's all right when you ain't got no fullbacks. I'll tell you what, I'll go and buy 2 for £50 million a pop. Like, you know what I mean? Where can you create one? Let him Cole Palmer go when you've got no midfield that can, you know, take his and all looking like, you know, they should be on playing vets football the way they're looking at the moment, the way they're running around in midfield. Also, you know what I mean, like as we said, like, you know, Morgan Rogers could get into that scene, like Lavia, you know, letting those sort of players go, you know. And as for that dick, and I'm going to call him a dick because I don't want to swear on this program, that dick up front. You know what I mean? Like yesterday, what's he all about? Like, you know what I mean? Kicks the ball at Gabriel and then wants to, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Do you want to come round my house for a cup of tea? You know what I mean? To Van Dijk because he's been like, you know, mugged off by him all game.
He's laughing with Salah.
Pathetic. What a dick. An absolute dick of a bloke. You know what I mean? Like, but when it was going against Arsenal, he wants to kick everybody, fight everybody, going on to the manager. And then when he's been absolutely outclassed and outplayed by Liverpool, he wants to be all friends with them and all that. Like, you know what I mean? Get down the barbers, get an haircut. In fact, chop your head off. Do something decent, like, you know what I mean? I can't stand him, like, you know what I mean? And as for did you see his first touch? God, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, unbelievable. He's such an absolute. Thank you, Harvey. I didn't want to say that word, but he is actually that. He is an absolute. You know what I mean? Oh, I just can't stand him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, and he's right. That rivalry between them two is pathetic. You know what I mean? There's no nastiness in it or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to have a little bit of it. Like, listen, I'm not having a go at Liverpool by any stretch of the imagination. Deserved to win that game. They were superb, I thought. From that first 20, 25 minutes, they were unbelievable. Like, you know, and they just run the game. They just absolutely run the game. Some such impressive performances from some of their players. You know, Van Dijk, outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Like, you know, the goalkeeper, when he had to, makes a save. Other than that, hardly had anything to do. They ran their socks off, and Manchester City just had no answer for it. Like, you know what I mean? And so many players at City at the moment have gone off a cliff. Walker, what has happened to him? A shocking performance from him. But listen, I don't really want to go too bad on Man City. I think you have to give credit where credit's due. Liverpool were fantastic on the day and deserved their win.
Can we talk about Phil Foden now, or is it too early still to talk about him?
Well, let's talk about him. Let's talk about it.
We have to talk about it. You can't have a performance like he did last year with that much consistency and then this drop off without. You have to talk about it now, because I think Lee was saying before we even started, any other player would be getting stick for this. Massive stick. Like, it's not good enough.
No, it ain't good.
I agree. I agree.
If it was Saka, could you imagine?
God.
Honestly,
He'd be getting pelters and all that. Like it was this time last season, and listen, he had a fantastic season. You know, people like Rio Ferdinand got a lot of respect for him, saying, "Oh, Foden's world class, Saka ain't. Foden this, Foden that, Foden this, Foden that." And I get all that, and I'm a big fan of it. I'm not slagging him off here when I'm saying this. He has been given lauded, you know what I mean, and all that. Like, and then all of a sudden, it's nothing coming from him, like, you know what I mean, like, we won't say nothing about him, like, you know what I mean. And Leon, I get it that he's won titles and all that, like, we're not saying that, you know what I mean. I think he's a fantastic player and everything like that. But where was he yesterday when it mattered? Where was he in the last few games when it mattered? He should be leading this team now. How old is he now? 24, 25?
24.
You know, he should be dominating it. You know, everybody says that this is the world-class player that he has. You know, I was disappointed with him yesterday. Like, you know, I thought like he would show up a little bit, like, you know, worked hard. I'm not saying that he didn't try and put it in, because he did, but come on, if that was Saka, I'm going to say it now, Dan, not just because you're on here. If that was Palmer, he'd be getting stick as well. Like,
Palmer,
you know?
Palmer was getting it even when he didn't perform for a couple of games.
Yes.
They set the bar so high.
Yeah.
I think with Foden, right, is Martin was saying just the other day, he's lost like a stone in weight, and apparently there's been some problems off the field. But for me, if I was his manager and that is affecting his performance, right, because sometimes that can, I would protect him and I would remove him from the limelight and maybe not play him, because he obviously isn't thriving by playing at the moment. Maybe it's his escape, but it's the worse he looks, the more pressure is going to be applied to the bloke. I mean, it's a hard situation to manage, but he's not the only person at City without a goal in a long time, though, as well. Because I think Jack Grealish hasn't scored in a year.
That is the one, mate. That is an unbelievable stat. £100 million for Jack Grealish, and he ain't scored since 2023. That is a abysmal.
Well, in the Premier League, he hasn't scored a goal.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's all comps.
It is a shambles. That is a shambles. And I like Jack Grealish, but £100 million was always way too much. And big up to Flawless, by the way, every time. I've got to say this. I think now I'm looking at Pep, and I mean, there's a super chat here that says, is Pep sackable? No, I don't think he is sackable because of his credit in the bank and what he's done. He's the best manager in the world, right? He's phenomenal. Big up for the super chat, Alex. I'll say this. There's a lot you've mentioned, which I'm going to repeat, but I'm going to repeat it for a reason. Lee, you're bang on, because when you sell Palmer and Lavia and Rodgers and Pedro Porro, and then you start to look at the deficiencies in those positions, you start to question whether that was a good idea and how good your scouting is and how good your kind of player talent is at spotting. Daniel bang on as well about Phil Foden and why he needs to turn up. But when I got voice notes yesterday and today saying, oh, Liverpool smash them because the City are depleted, bless them. City are depleted. City ain't depleted, by the way. Look at that team yesterday. They've got Ireland out there. They've got Foden out there. They've got Doku and Grealish back. They've got Bernardo Silva, Gundogan back. They've got at the back Diaz, Akanji, who else was playing? Aki and Walker.
They even dropped their best goalie as well.
Their best goalkeeper, Edison. He was on the bench for Ortega, right? So I'm not sitting there looking at the team going, God bless them, they can't even put an 11 out. Look, that is a squad that's won everything in world football, and that we were praising only a few weeks ago, right? So Pep Guardiola has got to get the best out of it. He's not trying to change enough of it, in my opinion. But some would say, why would he? Because the team he's gone with us, he's been able to trust, and it's won him everything that's needed. I think the Phil Foden question definitely needs to be asked now, because he was poor for England and now he's as poor for City, if not worse. I think for England right now, he doesn't get ahead of Bellingham, Palmer or Saka or Gordon. I've got to say it, in that England setup. He's dropped off a cliff, but it ain't just him. Like Dan said, there's a lot of them underperforming right now. I look at the players they have brought in. Doku doesn't score goals. What does he do? Just looks like a St. Maximan type player.
Yeah.
Looks pretty on the eye, but doesn't actually do much. Jack Grealish, £100 million. I see Tobes and Big Steve going at it on the Big Six. Tobes is saying he's been a flop for £100 million. And Big Steve didn't really have an answer for him other than, well, he's won a treble, which is great and it's a good answer. But let's just be real. Has he really massively contributed in the last 4 years that they've signed him to make up for £100 million? Not in my opinion. I think £100 million, you need to be taking your side to the next level. He can't even get into their first 11. Then you've got players like Savio, who's come on. everyone was bigging up, lauding up. Oh my God, he still hasn't scored a goal. We're nearly at Christmas. This has just not been good, man. So that's where I'm at. I think Pep needs to look at it. I think Pep's actually showing signs of complete worrying signs, worrying traits. When you're coming out doing that and you're kind of giving up and you've
it's
got
Mourinho losing the dressing room signs, isn't it? You know when
ain't it? Unbelievable. He's using, what was it you said yesterday, Lee? He's using his face as a scratch card.
Yeah.
That is basically unbelievable what I'm seeing from him, man. But look, Flawless, let me come to you, bro. What you're telling me, you must be quite happy seeing this City downfall, brother.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. It's because it was so unexpected as well. That's what it is. Like I didn't see it happening. Like obviously we've spoken about City starting slow, and this seems to have happened. I think like the last 2 years, and they always like kick into gear and go into a run. So to see them going out like this, and this is not just like a crisis. This is a serious crisis. Like losing 6 games out of 7, and the manner in which is going on that you mentioned, and Pep literally looking like he's cracking under the pressure, scratching up his face. You know what I'm saying? Scratching his nose. And I even seen a Ruben Diaz interview where he was being interviewed, and I seen a Ruben after the game, and even the guy actually wasn't being like, he wasn't like being petty with him or anything, but Diaz was very, very salty. But they are bad losers because they've won a lot. But yeah, it's beautiful because because they've won so much, and now this downfall is happening. Pep don't know how to handle it. The players don't know how to handle it. They ain't got fans like that. But even when you talk to their fans ain't used to this because it's been 5, 6, 7 years where they've just been winning. So now that they're losing, they don't know how to take it. And it's the manner in which they're losing as well. It's not like it's competitive. Like they're being battered. You know what I'm saying? Like Spurs battered them. Like Liverpool, it was only 2-0, but it was comfortable. 3-0 up against Feyenoord with 15 minutes to go, and then you concede 3 goals. And it's like, I don't see anything changing either. Like this season, I think they'll probably spend money in January. In the summer, they'll definitely spend again. But Dan just mentioned it about like being at Mourinho, him holding up the 6. I'm hoping it's the end for Pep. Do I really believe it is? No. But I'm hoping he's hit the Mourinho wall where it's kind of like his management style is outdated. Do I believe that to be the case? Honestly, no. But I hope I'm wrong on that. And it is outdated because to see the fall off is great. I'd love to see them, man. Like I think they'll finish in the top 4, but like for them, let's say they finish 5th or 6th or something like that. That'd be great to see. And then he can't get it back just to see him crash out like this because I'm tired of them winning, as everybody has been. I didn't realize everybody was so tired of them because everyone was waiting to dance on their grave when they started losing. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I love it, man. And listen, I will say this. I don't think we should take anything away from what Liverpool are doing right now.
No,
turn my attention to them because I've just got to say it how it is. I think he's been phenomenal, Slot. And people are saying they haven't been tested yet and all this rubbish. Walked into a gifted squad. Yeah, that gifted squad couldn't win Klopp the league, by the way. Yeah, one of the best managers that the Premier League has seen. This guy is absolutely cruising. He looks relaxed. He looks calm. He don't look stressed. Even yesterday, he's like, yeah, on to the next. This guy is literally doing the job, man, and doing the business. And he has got, in my opinion, 5, 6, maybe 7 of those Liverpool players firing and maybe 20% out of every single one of them extra. Because I didn't look at Gravenberch as a 6. I didn't look at Curtis Jones as one of their most influential players. I didn't look at somebody like Luis Diaz and think, yep, let's get you back on the score sheet. Even Nunes and Gakpo are scoring again now. At the back, Konate, I know he was out, but he's been phenomenal. I think he's got the best out of Robertson and Trent defensively, as well as them going forward. They just look more balanced. They look relaxed. Every time I watch them, I'm like, they're going to score. And what that has done, in my opinion, getting the 15, 20% out of those 6, 7 players has allowed Salah, Trent, Van Dijk, Alisson, the best sort of players they've got, to flourish even more. Because he hasn't really done much different with them, in my opinion. I think he's got around them and gone, I don't need to touch them really, because they're world class, but I do need to sort these lot out. And he has. And now all of a sudden, Salah looks unreal. Like one of the best I've seen him in a long, long time, rolling back the years. Van Dijk, he's probably been the best centre-back in the world again. Like, I look at what he's doing at the moment, and I'm very, very impressed. And do you know what the scary thing is, Judge? I don't even think they've got going yet. I actually think they're going to get better. That's what's scary.
Yeah, listen, Paul made a great point on the show yesterday. Like, can you judge those sort of games? Arsenal as well. You can go on to that. Like, probably even Manchester United as well. with their performances yesterday, great wins and that. But the opposition, you have to look at that and go, well, hold on a minute, how good was it or how bad was it? And whether you probably could even say Chelsea as well. So we're all on the same boat. Were we all great this weekend, or were the opposition so bad? Watching that game yesterday with Liverpool, I'm sitting there and I'm going, it's a matter of time before they score. It's a matter of time before they score. And then love and behold, they did. It was, you know, you watch a game and you think like, oh, well, you know, even when like Arsenal, Man United coming up this week, you're going to be a little bit wary of Man United. They're going to have little spells and all that. Like, but there was none of that from Man City. Now, I have to say, I want to give the credit to Liverpool. I thought that they was all over it. Do you know when a team's lacking a little bit of confidence? I think Liverpool smelt that and thought, do you know what? We can run all over them here. Let's make sure we do. And then they did. And you have to give credit for that, like, you know, and Diaz looked like, you know, you have to say what a great bit of managing that was, because he put him up front. And he was like, all right, he didn't score, but he just terrorised their back line. It was like, look, run around, put pressure on their back four, and they will crack. God, did they crack? They give out more presents than Toys R Us. You know what I mean? Like, it was unbelievable. Like, you know, it was just ridiculous what they were doing. And at the end of it, I think that you just have to hold your hands up and say, wow, Liverpool were brilliant on the day. Now, what helps Liverpool is that they're at home. It's, you know, it might have been different if it was at City and all that. Like, you know, it was a home fixture. They nailed it, boys. They absolutely nailed it. And you know, you can't knock them for that. And as much as people keep going, oh, they've got, they're lucky or they need a run and all that. Like, you can only beat what's in front of you, and they are beating everybody that's in front of them at this moment in time. I wasn't that impressed with them against Southampton, I have to say, but they found a way. You know, that they wasn't great against Arsenal. I think Arsenal, you know, with the back four that we had out, I think Arsenal were there for the taking that day when you look at that back four, and they never really, you know, really did get us and took a point.
They were disappointed, Lee. They were actually, their fans were disappointed they didn't beat us because they thought,
yeah. And I get that. I think that we was as well. You know what I mean? I think, you know, yeah, they struggled against Brighton as well, like, but they got the job done. And that's all you can say. But yesterday was a really impressive performance. I think that, you know, when it mattered, they've gone up there and got the performance right. And yeah, I listen. I think City were fortunate to come out of a 2-0. I don't think if they'd have won that 5-0 yesterday, Liverpool, I don't think no one could argue that. I thought it was a 5-0 game. I really do. I think it was so one-sided. I know that they had a chance towards the end with De Bruyne, but other than that, you know what I mean? Like, they never laid a glove on them. But, you know, yeah, credit where credit's due. Credit where credit's due.
yeah, they deserve that. Dan, what does this mean for Arsenal now? We're going to come to Chelsea in a minute, because I know if you look at Arsenal at the moment, you've got to look at Chelsea, but I do want to kind of separate the teams. Where we're looking at Arsenal right now, obviously we're on a roll. We look really good, but Liverpool look uncatchable right now. Things can change. Do you think Arsenal are still in it?
Yeah, I do. I think Arsenal are showing signs of a team that they looked like last season. They look like the team that everyone expected them to be this season now, with Odegaard returning, with a couple of players sort of leveling up their performances in recent weeks as well. Because I think that for that sort of period where it was a sort of a blip for Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool were still achievable. They weren't as far away, which is a bit of a shame for Arsenal, obviously. And the timing wasn't perfect when that blip sort of happened. But if Liverpool have a similar sort of fall off, or Liverpool slip at any point, then Arsenal have to be there. Like you should have been there for City's fall off. You have to be there for Liverpool now. And I believe you will. And I think that West Ham game was very similar to the West Ham game at the end of last season. It's a bit of a statement. It's like we are capable on our day of putting a number of goals past the team and making it look effortless. And that's exactly what you did. I mean, I know there was that moment where the 2 goals went in very quickly for West Ham, but other than that, I thought you looked like a team that are back in a title race. And I actually think when I look at Arsenal I think you can find gaps between them and Chelsea, even though we're level on points. I think there's still a team that are in a title race, albeit a little bit more outside of it than they want to be, and a team that I think evidently aren't in a title race apart from where we are points-wise in the table.
Man, that's really honest and fair of you, man. Look, I look at what City have done to drop off where Liverpool are. I look at Arsenal and Chelsea. I think what gives it away is Chelsea are delighted to be where they are. Arsenal are disappointed to be where they are. I think that says it all. I think that says where one are to the other. Flawless, let me come to you as a neutral, bro, because I've got a couple of questions for you. One of them would be very uncomfortable for an Arsenal fan to answer, but it won't be uncomfortable for you to answer. Where do you see Arsenal in this mix? And if Slot wins this title, where do you stand on Mikel Arteta? Is it fair enough, or is it, wow, what's just happened, bro? Where are you at?
I think to answer the second question, I think that's terrible for Arteta if Slot wins the league, because it kills dead all this process talk. It kills that dead that he's coming. Yes, he's got a good side. Like you mentioned it there. Liverpool have good players. Like let's not dispute that. Like Van Dijk, Salah, Trent, just those three alone are top quality. And if we did a Premier League 11 right now, they'd probably all get in. And then you throw that in the mix with Jota, even though he's been injured. Gravenberch's form. You have Kanate. Obviously, Alisson's a quality goalkeeper as well. You got the likes of Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Gakpo. You have other functional players and players who can perform to a good level. So if Slot then because people love to do the revisionism, because when Slot landed there, there weren't no talk of Liverpool winning the league. It was Manchester City or Arsenal. The odd Liverpool fan I've spoke to who genuinely thought they would win the league, but I'm talking general consensus. The general consensus was it City or Arsenal. That was my general consensus as well, because they was 1 and 2. I had City winning the league without doubt, and I thought Arsenal would be second, and I thought Liverpool would be third. So
Same.
I think worst case scenario is, and to everyone who backs Arteta, what is the excuse now? What's the excuse? Arteta spent what, 600 million and has failed to win the league, and it's been 5-6 years. Slot comes in his first season and wins the league, and the manner in which he's doing it as well at Cantor. Like, you literally have nothing to stand on, and it just shows the deficiencies, and a lot of Arsenal fans just can't accept that Arteta is just not the guy. He's the guy to get you to a certain level. Has he improved Arsenal? Yes. Is he better than most people expected when he got the job? Yeah. He solidified you as one of the better teams. Built a good squad, yeah. But you need someone to take you to the next level, which is not him. I say this. Arsenal should have won the last 2 league titles, the last 2 seasons. And I think if you have there is deficiencies in the squad, but if you have a better manager, I think you get over the line in at least one of them. Can't be on top of the league for 93% of it and don't win it. I don't know what happened anyway. And what was the first question?
What does it mean for us now? 9 points behind Liverpool. There's a long way to go. 25 games. What we've got to look to do now, in my opinion, is pretty much be flawless to the rest of the season. Excuse the pun. And then they've got to basically. I think they've got to drop 4 to 6 games, because I can see Arsenal dropping more points.
That's it,
happen, bro.
And that's it, Dan. You were the sensible ones who doesn't, you know what I'm saying, fooled and drink the Kool-Aid. Unfortunately, it pays me to say it, because I can't stand Liverpool. It is their title. I think it's done. You know what I'm saying? I don't see Arsenal going on a run and turning it around. I don't see Liverpool dropping that many points. Yeah, they may have a blip, but we've been waiting for it, because that was supposed to be the last. When we looked at their run, I think it was their last 10 games or something like that across all comps. The whole conversation was, all right, this is where they're going to drop points, and why Liverpool fans have been running with we haven't played anybody yet. And in that run, I think they've got 1 draw and all wins. And they're flying in the Champions League. They're flying in the Premier League. Like, for them, it is. I think it is. Like, they're going to win it. I don't see anyway. I don't think Arsenal will turn up and take them over. I don't think City will either. I don't think there's anyone else. I think Chelsea are playing well, but I don't think, even though they've got a favourable running now till pretty much the end of January, I don't think Chelsea will get over the line either. And that's just because their goalkeeper, I think, is a big issue for them. But hey, if Chelsea go in January, you never know, but I don't see it happening. I don't. I think it's Liverpool's league title.
Let me before I bring you in, Judge, let me just bring some of these comments in, because I always like to see where we're at in terms of a fan base right now. Before I do that, Suj, big up to you, mate. It says Grealish for 100 million. It makes Havertz for 65 look like a class signing now. Big up to you, bro. Much appreciate that, as always, for the super chat. Judges, this is what we're getting at the moment from a few fans. Who's better than Mikel Arteta, though? That's a question that people are asking. There's also ALX. I think me and Flawless are talking rubbish. It's the players who have let him down, and there's been 3 red cards.
Man saying but the thing is, man, I'm saying the players have let him down. Who picked the players?
Yeah,
it's his squad. It's not like it's a squad he's inherited, and the players have done that. Then I'd more hear it. This is his team. He's been here 5 years, and everyone's there. That's there. He wanted there. So if players are, because when players are performing well, we give him credit.
Mm-hmm.
So how come when players ain't performing well or there's discipline issues or getting sent off, it's not on him?
Okay. I agree with that, and I also this doesn't look for good reading from Mashib. Big up to him, and I appreciate the comment. 5 years that Arteta's had, and he's level on points with Maresca, who's been there for 4 months, and he's below Slot, who's been there for 4 months. Like, a lot can change, but I appreciate where you're coming from there. Tammy says, however, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And then you've got Amjad, who says that he believes we need a manager to take us up a level. The reason I brought them up, judges, because they're all completely different. So some people think, stop talking rubbish, it's fine. Some people are saying, calm down, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Others are saying, we've had enough. Some people are saying, Flawless is spitting facts, the league title's done. This is a number of opinions, which is why we do what we do, right? Because we love hearing difference of opinions to try and sort of sway you where you're thinking right now. Flawless is kind of like, do you know what? I think it's job done. Where are you at, bruv?
Well, like, it's job done for Man United, isn't it? You know what I mean? Let's be honest.
His job done. His job. You know what? Hey, judges, this is the first time I've been on the show since Ten Hag got sacked. This is the first time I've been here since Ten Hag got sacked. Let's go. We free. Thanks for reminding me. I need to put my fuck Ten Hag tweet out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been 6 weeks since he's been sacked. So thank you, judges. Listen, I need to go find it. Thank you.
Everybody's opinion is fair enough. I'm sort of in the middle of all that. Like this thing where, the Mikel Arteta not haters or whatever you want to call them and whatever. 5 years, you know what I mean? Like, well, he didn't inherit a team like Chelsea and a squad like Chelsea, and he didn't inherit a Liverpool team that were challenging him for the title in March, April of last season. Like, there's different circumstances to that. And so I look at it over the last couple of years, we've actually challenged for the title. But people want to dismiss that. Oh, that's not good enough. That's not good enough for Arsenal Football Club to challenge for a title. It is. That's what you've got to do, And I say this now, people will turn around and Flawless just said it, should have won the last 2 titles in the last 2 years. I ain't got a problem with that, but let's be honest, this is the treble. They won the treble 1 year. And as I said to you earlier on, Dan, the last season, they didn't lose a game from December onwards. That is from now to the end of the season. They didn't lose a game. They dropped 2 points. 2 points from December to the end of the season. And those 2 points were Arsenal at home. It's an unbelievable sort of a run. That a lot of teams, if I be really honest, it's one what Arsenal have got to go on now. I ain't in this... I'm not in this camp of blaming sending offs or things like that. I do think that Mikel was cost us points this season by not addressing the Odegaard situation. The Odegaard situation. Listen, you can't replace Odegaard, but you can get something near it. I think Wanyeri, by not playing him in a couple of those games, has cost us. When people turn around and say bottle it, I want someone to come on here and explain to me how Arsenal bottled it when I have just said a team did not lose from December to May. How can you bottle that? You know what I mean? I can go a little bit light on the first one.
I don't agree with, but the first year I think we were right.
First one you can go on, but when you say about that, Dan, and I get that we bottled it, right? We wasn't even expected to be in that position.
No, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So when people go, "Oh, you bottled it," what did Liverpool do then? Because Liverpool were expected to be in that situation that season, and they weren't. So when you get into that position, you can say it'd be fantastic. Like if Liverpool do not win this league, I'll be interested to
It will
see
be the
what
biggest
everybody
bottle
turns
job.
around and
That'll be
says.
the
on it.
biggest
Oh,
bottle
we
job.
we
now.
crashing on them if they don't win this league. 100%.
9 points clear.
Without doubt, the whole year next season, nothing they say they are getting
So no, but
criticized
my
heavily.
point. Hold on, guys. So my point being, right, if Liverpool don't win the league from now and Arsenal come on this fantastic run and win this league, is it all down to Liverpool bottling it? No, it's Arsenal have won the league. You know what I mean? Like, if that was the case, it's like Manchester City won the league last season. You know what I mean? The year before they won the treble. You know, people turn around and even Manchester City fans go, Arsenal bottled the league. And in the same breath go, well, the treble's the best thing in the world. You can't beat that. Well, hold on a minute. You just bottled the league. You know, you didn't win the league. Another team bottled it. I like to think at the end of the day, Manchester City are a very, very good side and deserve to win the league when they, and win the treble. So you can't have it both ways, guys. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of it,
I think it's down to the circumstances, though, Lee, isn't it? It's like if they don't hold their nerve in the moments they need to, and that causes a team to fall off or not be where they should be. Remember, like Tottenham, obviously, with the Leicester season. I feel like that was a bottle job, right? Leicester did not have a better team than Tottenham that season. But Tottenham should have gone and won that, and they didn't, and they fell off.
Also, Arsenal should have done.
Arsenal, yeah, exactly, right. And there were plenty of teams that season that weren't good enough, and one team was willing to take it and run away with it in the end and win it, like Leicester out of nowhere, right? But it all depends on the circumstances for me.
Yeah.
If a team obviously lose their nerve and the pressure gets to them, like that. I always think that game against Chelsea at the Battle of the Bridge that season, like Tottenham knew they were losing the league. And that game, you could see that they lost their heads and the manager was crying. That, for me, is a bottle job, right? But if you're against a side that are good enough to win a treble and good enough to go unbeaten for that amount of time, I completely agree with you as well, because that is a relentless pressure being applied from elite players and like twice, 3 times again champions. You know what I mean? Like they've done it so many times, it becomes almost habit.
Yeah, Dan, it's a great point. And listen, when people turn around and say that first season, we went to Manchester City that day and we lost 4-1. They outclassed us. You know what I mean? It was like, oh God, what I was watching, I was there 5 minutes ago, like this is going to be a mullering. And it turned out to be, they were a better team than us. You had to look, you walked out the Etihad and I thought, wow, they were a better team. Last season we drew 0-0. I didn't think there was much between the two teams. This season I walked away thinking that we were the better team. Like that is the thing. Like, I still think Arsenal are a very, very good team. And at this moment in time, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, Arsenal have got to go on a run. They've got to go and beat Man United. They've got to go and beat Fulham. They've got to go and beat Everton. They've got to go and see where it takes us at the end of the day. Like, Arsenal have lost 2 games at this moment in time. They've drawn 2 and lost 2 and drawn 4. If they was to win the next 15 games, I'm not saying that they are, but they're capable of it, like, because that is what Manchester City done last season. If they'd done that, and at the end of the day, say if Arsenal win their next 15 games and Liverpool are still 9 points in front, you have to turn around and go, well, what can you do? You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing, like, people say about bottling it, all that, like, and I'll say this now, last season, they lost, I think it was to Newcastle, I'm not 100% sure, and they dropped 2 points from, do you know Arsenal from January to May dropped 5 points? All right, 5 points from January to May. Is that bottling it? I don't think so. It was just the unfortunate thing is those son of the bitches from Man City went on and dropped 2 points. And 2 of those points, by the way, 5 of those points that we dropped for Arsenal were against were against City. And the thing is, when people are going about bottling it, like no one says about Liverpool last season. Liverpool were 5 points clear going into March, was it, when we played it? If they'd have beaten Arsenal, they'd have been 8 points clear. Have a look how many points that they dropped off at the end of it. Like, no one says about that. So what's the best thing to do? Like, drop out of the season in early doors so you don't get slagged. Oh, Arsenal have dropped out of it, and we're still getting slagged off. Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
Arsenal judges. That's why.
Yeah,
Comes with the territory. It's because you're Arsenal. That's what comes with the territory.
yeah, it comes with the territory.
When you're a big club like you, like that's where the criticism stems from.
Yeah, big real talk, man. Real talk. Look, I've got to say, actually, let's bring this super chat in from Sue. Where was it?
Listen, before I just want to one thing before you say it on things like that. When I see someone in the chat say, "Well, why did Liverpool bottle it last?" You were saying Liverpool bottled it last season, and not the season. Liverpool. I'm not saying Liverpool bottled it last season. Who said? I'm just saying if you're saying that Arsenal bottled it last season, I'm saying that I don't think Liverpool bottled it last season. It wasn't good enough at the end of the day. Like, you know, that's the facts of the matter. It's not about bottling it. Is that the facts are the matter. The facts of it is Arsenal haven't bottled it for the last 2 seasons. The reason that they haven't won the league is there's been a better team than them. And at the end of the day, there's a better team than Manchester City at this moment in time, and that's Liverpool and probably Arsenal to say they've got to go on and win it. Now, at the end of it, Liverpool at this moment in time have got players that have won the title and know how to win things. You know what I mean? They've done it before. That is a big thing in my opinion. If Liverpool were in that chase last season, they should have probably, with the manager they had and the players that they had, probably could have gone, should have and could have gone on and won that league, but they didn't because City consistently kept winning. If at the end of the day last season, I don't care if we'd have had that run and Manchester City lost 2 or 3 games, we win the league. I can't emphasise how bloody hard that was last season to see Arsenal just drop 5 points and still not win the league from January, like, you know, because you had a team bloody winning whatever, like, you know, and don't come throwing at me about money. Arsenal, you know, I mean, idiots saying, "Oh, Arsenal have spent this so much money and whatever." Like, every other club has spent money around us. You know what I mean? Like, you know, maybe not as much, maybe more. The end of the day, it is about City over the last 2 seasons. How many City over the last? You've even got their manager going 6 titles. You know, they're an unbelievable team that they have been. They're not at this moment in time. They've come back into the pack, and I think that's where everybody's a little bit frustrated at the moment. Like, you know, and that there, like, you know, Slot, yes, incredible, Mo. Like, Slot has not spent any money. Why has he not spent any money? Because he's still got a bloody good team. Does it, like, you know, why don't you go and spend £100 million on a right winger? You don't need to. Why don't you go and spend 100 million on a central defender? You don't need to. Go and spend 60 million on a goalkeeper. You don't need to. He didn't need to. There's a difference, you know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you what, if you were 6th, 7th or 8th, like Arsenal and Man United have been in the last few seasons, like, you know what I mean? Like, then you'd have to go and spend money. But, you know what I mean? Like, Arsenal haven't...
Like you said, judges, they were 5 points clear at one point last season towards the end of it as well, in March. Like, they didn't need much. It was a few... For me, actually, Liverpool just ran out of steam with Klopp's sort of outdated methods in terms of pressing, and other teams were way fitter come the end of the season, and Liverpool just fell off eventually.
Klopp said it himself. He was tired.
Yeah, I think they were.
Klopp said it himself. Literally, that he was tired. That's why he left. And
you can see in what Arne Slot has done. He's just refreshed it a little bit, made a couple of tweaks here and there. They're not as relentless as they were in terms of their pressing and the rock and roll football. And ultimately, they're thriving because of it. And I think by the time they get to March this year, they'll probably be in a much better position to go on and potentially win the league.
Yes, that is Dan, that is a great point, and I think that's where they are. I think, like, you know, you got, listen, I'm not slagging Slot off. He's been outstanding to do what he's done. He's not come in and he's not. I think the biggest thing that you can say to him is, you know, he's not got he could have come in and said, oh, like, because there's going to be things chucked at him. Like, I'm sure there's going to be things chucked at him, like it is with Arteta. When Arteta won the FA Cup, yeah, but he won that with Emery's team, like, you know what I mean? So over the next, you know, if Slot wins the league this year and doesn't win it for the next 5 years, everybody's going to be turning around to him saying, oh, that's because you won it with Jurgen Klopp's team and the way. Crap. He's won it because he's, you know, had no ego to turn around and say, do you know what? I'm not going to come in here and change everything. I'm just going to tinker with it a little bit, just make us little. I think he's done a fantastic job.
Yes,
and I do love him actually because he's bald. Yeah, I do. I think but then again, I didn't like Mr. Ten Hag. You know what I mean? So like, you know.
And Lee, you probably be able to answer this better than me. But for people criticising Arteta, the two biggest things I see with Arteta, if you fail to win the league this season, are one, you should have been the team where Liverpool are able to take the opportunity of City's fall off, and two, I think ultimately we've seen 2 seasons now where the squad building hasn't been good enough, where you've been reliant on one player and their absence has cost you ultimately a Premier League title. I think it's Saliba when Rob Holding come in and Odegaard when you didn't have a replacement for him.
Listen, and this is me and Dan have said that I am not defending Arteta as a fit. I think at the end of the day, there's been 2 things, in my opinion, that have cost, and I will look at it at the end of the season and go, yeah, that's Arteta. The one was when we lost Saliba, and he replaced him with Holding and then it was too late when he could have gone in with Kivia. Didn't find a solution for that, and he didn't find a solution right for Odegaard. Yeah, okay, and I get that. Pep, by the way, has won 6 titles, and he can't find a solution at this moment in time for Rodri. Now, I don't know if that's coincidence or whatever, like, you know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, and the question is, and Dan's on this one. We talk about it constantly, like, you know, is he good enough to get us over the line? I don't know. I don't think that maybe he's not. Maybe he's not good enough to get us over the line, and maybe we're going to need to get somebody in that can. That is a different thing. But everybody turning around and saying, "Oh, sack him, get this and all that."
He gets too made, doesn't he? He gets too made.
Yeah, he's put us in this position. You know what I mean? He's put us in this position to get you. Sometimes your success can be your failure, your downfall. Like, he's got us into this position, which I didn't think we was going to be challenging and going toe to toe with Manchester City. We've done it. And maybe he's not the one to do it, and we'll have to get somebody in there. I don't know. Sometimes you need a manager, don't you, that can get you to a certain level, and then someone else, like footballers, like players. I'm not being horrible, you know what I mean. Aaron Ramsdale got to a certain position, and then you know he's had to, you know, Arteta's been ruthless. He may be ruthless now with Ben White because of it, like, you know. So if your manager's being ruthless in that department, blah blah blah. Maybe the ball has to be ruthless if he can't get you over the top, and that's fair enough. I've got no argument with that.
Ramsdale's such a mad one, by the way, Lee, because he's now on for his 3rd Premier League relegation, and like he obviously did wonders for you, but
it's unbelievable.
So crazy.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, it's not for Premier League, but if he does go down with Southampton, that'll be Southampton, Sheffield United, Bournemouth and Sheffield. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That he's all been relegated with. How can you be relegated 4 times as a keeper? It's mad. Let me bring this super chat in, these couple of super chats in before I come to Martin. As much as I want to disagree with Flawless being a Man United fan, he does speak facts. We need Liverpool to drop points in a minimum of 4 games and us going near perfect. If we don't win it, then we are only to blame.
Big up to Sudge, man. There's a compliment in there somewhere. Appreciate it, man. My guy. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's backhanded. Yeah, cool. That's what it is.
Doobs has said, big up to Dan, my Chelsea bro. Hope you're well. Big up the rest of the panel as well. Up the Chelsea. We're going to come on to Chelsea in a minute. Martin, you said you were going to lose, my bro. You did lose. It wasn't a shock.
You can skip me. No, skip me. Go somewhere else. Skip me. I'm just going to listen.
Oh, bro, what is happening?
I wish I could tell you. I actually don't know. I actually really don't know. Well, I do know what's happening. It's we've just come to the end of the line with a lot of these players. This squad's burnt itself. Absolutely burnt itself. We haven't recruited at the right time for whatever reason. Told you on Friday, I think the reason was Dan. I think the Pep situation, the cheeky situation, messed all this up. You'll probably hear about this in a book in 4 years.
Yeah.
Someone will write a book, an autobiography, and explain all this. But I think we were in a rock and a hard place come the summertime. I don't think we knew whether we wanted to stick or twist. I think we've been too loyal some will say rightfully so to some players. They've just won, some have won 6 league titles. Are you going to ditch them out that easy? Maybe we've been too sentimental. I don't know. It's a weird one. The funny thing is, that second half, I saw glimpses of we are getting a little bit there again in that second half. First 25 minutes could have been 5-0. We were all over the place again for 25 minutes. Stefan Ortega kept us in it. But second half, I thought we improved a little bit. I want to keep Ake as left back because I thought apart from the first goal, which when Ake was out of position because he got one right in the hand, thought Ake did quite well against Salah, which he normally does. Nathan Ake generally defends very well against Mo Salah. But we're just not good enough at the minute. Not for a title anyway. And I said we were out the title race on Friday and we're out the title race on Monday. That hasn't changed. We're not going to come back from 11 points. It's 2-horse race now. We have to just focus on what we need to do. Get to January, buy a couple of players. Get Oscar Bob back and we go again and we do a sort of, because I don't think the rebuild will be one summer. It's going to be 2 summers. Because you're not going to get the amount of players out we need to do for the amount of money and the wages they're on, and then bring them in. But I do like the idea of Grealish in midfield if he's going to do that, because it'd be nice to put him back in his natural position for the first time in 3 years. That'd be nice. Buy him and stick him out on the left wing. But it's got to start Wednesday night. You've got to see a reaction on Wednesday night against Forest. I do think we'll still finish in the top 3. Some will think that's mad because these players are not just bad overnight. They're not just bad overnight. They will come back. It's just being patient, a little bit of humble pie. You got to accept. Look, listen, we've given it the big one for 6, 7, 8 years. It's not our year. But the one thing I will say, and this is just me speaking now, my opinion, the title goes on loan for a year. Does anyone thinks this is our demise and we're on a drop-off? Just keep it warm, keep it in your cabinet because we're coming again in 12 months. And we will take it back. Because Pep's not signed a 2-year deal to flurry around in mid-table or top 4. We are going to go. Hugo Viana's going to come in. Fresh ideas. He's a lot more ruthless. And a rejuvenated Pep. Some of the players out. Bring some, youngsters in. Younger players. They were top, whether it's Bayana, Verts, whoever. And we just go again. It's the way it is.
Look, I've got to say, I can't sit there and say you're talking nonsense about coming back because I always see Manchester City up there. I think you might need to look at January as well, like you say, because I think the way you're playing, it don't look like you're going to win anything, let alone be out of a title race. So I think that you buy what you buy in January. I think you're clearly going to go for and sort your midfield out in January. I think you'll probably buy another attacker as well. And then you can go on and run. I wouldn't rule Man City out of a trophy yet because what Man City do is come back. They're never, ever going to be sat there. Now, Pep knows he's not silly. He's far from it. And I do want to ask you a question quickly, though, because we did mention it earlier, and we don't really know the answer. Maybe you do, because I know you've got more into the club than I have. What's going on with Phil Foden, brother? Because he don't look the same. He don't look right. Before Flora joined, me, Dan, and Lee were talking about it, and maybe looking at some reasons off the field. I think you said before to me that he'd lost some weight and he's not quite right away from football. It's really showing, man, because the performances he's putting in from last season to now are just night and day, mine.
Yeah, I know they are. I'm not going to go into the personal stuff because, listen, City don't want that out there. They don't want what's going on in his life out there, 100%. And you got to respect people's privacy on that. But he's not playing good enough. He's got to step it up a little bit more, 100%. I think what doesn't help him is everyone's going hiding. Nobody wants the ball. And Phil Foden's a person who wants the ball, drive forward when everyone's going with a forward momentum. And at the moment, everyone's just doing, say, 5-yard passes back to the side, whatever. They're looking at the easy option now. Because you look at the first goal yesterday, and when the camera pans out, again, they look like the whole world wants to swallow them up. They don't want to be there. Confidence is on its rear end. And it's like people, it's why I didn't want the kids when people on about Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis is getting panned, but the trouble is, when you bring a youngster in, whether it's O'Reilly, whether it be Rico, whoever, you have your experienced pros to drag them through a game when they're not performing sometimes. The trouble is, these pros, these experienced pros, they're in bad form. They don't want to be there. They can't drag themselves through the game, never mind help a kid. And this is what's going on. Foden's just lost in the pack at the minute because we're not playing to his strengths. We're not playing the ball through anymore. We're not driving forward as a team. We're going backwards, passing wise. That's no good. There was an example yesterday. You have a look at when Salah goes through on goal and puts it over the bar. That's through Bernardo Silva and Rico Lewis can't combine a 2-yard pass together, and that's what upsets me the most. And this is not to trigger some Liverpool fans. We were helping Liverpool yesterday with some of the stuff we were doing. We were giving them the opportunities, and I'm sat there going, "What we doing?" It was crazy. But when Bernardo Silva, who's 32, needs to be, or how old he is, he's on 300 grand a week, and he's meant to be one of your steady eddies, and he can't stick a 2-yard pass in. Well, what do we do at that point? Good night, Vienna, then, isn't it? I don't know where you go. Kyle Walker's coming to the end. He's been, for me, the best right back in the whole club, probably ever. But in the last 18 months, it's been too much. We know he's off-field issues. For me, Kyle Walker, the last thing he needs is to actually be playing football right now. He needs to be focusing on him as a human being and his life. Let him go and sort that out. And then to top it off, his captain, Ruben Diaz, who's having to be forced back, and you could tell he hadn't played for about a month and a half because he was about rusty as an old nail. Akanji falls off a cliff. It's like, I mean, I could go on, but it just gets sad. And listen, I know nobody's got no sympathy for City. Listen, we've given it the big one for 6-7 years. So, and I don't expect anyone to have sympathy, but we just got to take some humble pie this season, finish in the top 3, which I think we will, maybe nick a cup. This is the scary thing, and this is going to sound even mad. You don't need to be the best to win the Champions League, so could City just focus on that and see where we roll? I don't know.
I said that last night to Lee about Arsenal. Everyone laughs, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think it's mad. I don't think it's mad. But you're right, Martin. No one feels sorry for you. No one feels sorry for you.
Oh, no, listen, of course not. But I will say, and listen, I always said Liverpool in the title race, but I didn't realise they were giving out the trophy yesterday. They did a bit of a trophy parade yesterday. They were loving it. So just be careful on that one. You don't let this one go.
Well, we just said that earlier. 9 points, man. You can't bottle it from that stage, surely, or can you? That's what we've got to do. Look, before we come to a close, the last section I do need to touch on United with Amorim and of course Chelsea, who I think under Maresca look a different Chelsea. Well, certainly from what they did under Poch, anyway. I want to ask Flawless about Wednesday night because obviously it's at the Emirates, Arsenal versus Manchester United. Before I do that, Dan, Chelsea and title race. I keep hearing it. I keep talking about it on pods. You look so good, man. I can't lie. Like, I really like the midfield. I think Lavia and Caicedo, when Caicedo inverts, I think the pair of them look brilliant. Palmer, definitely. I know he doesn't always do it against the big clubs, but if you look at his stats, it's there or thereabouts. I think Jackson's improved his finishing. And I keep saying it. I think you're 2 or 3 away from going for a title. One of them's a striker, one of them's a goalkeeper, and I think the other one is probably a centre-half, because I'm still not sure about Fofana and Colwell together as a pair, but maybe that's just me. But I still feel like you are those short. However, I just think you look really good, and I think Maresca needs a lot of credit. And I was certainly wrong about Chelsea. I don't think I'm wrong about the ownership yet, because I think they were clueless and have spent a hell of a lot of money. But I do feel like you're in a position now where you can actually think, yeah, we're moving in the right direction, bro.
Yeah, I think we are. And I think we were so uncertain at the beginning of the season with what we were bringing in to replace Pochettino had ultimately got some sort of form together by the time he actually got sacked. I think it was obvious, though, it just took too long. And there's obviously ability in these players to get results. Yes, the ownership have spent we've sold a lot of players, but we've spent a lot of money. And I think any other club that if they were given that money to recruit players, they wouldn't have gone about it in the same way Chelsea did. When I look at it now, though, if we're sat third in the Premier League or joint second, and then all of our best players are under 24, then are we there to do it for the next 6 years and be of this ability? All the players are on really, really long contracts. I mean, Martin's talking about when one player goes wrong and then the rest of the players' performances drop off. I think we saw that because now we're seeing even the likes of Enzo Fernandez in recent weeks level up his performance. He's looking a lot better. He's looking like he's got a lot more energy. I don't think Chelsea are in a title race yet. I think we're just a little bit too young, and I think it's a little bit too early. Fofana's just got an injury. I reckon he's going to be out for about 6 weeks. There's still like fragile pieces of this Chelsea squad that I think need addressing. But with time, I believe this Chelsea squad probably within the next 2 to 3 seasons will be challenging for a Premier League title, I think.
Mate, it could be sooner if you get it right in the
It
transfer
could be.
window.
The only way we'll be in it would be very similar to Arsenal, where you end up in a title race you never thought you were going to be in. I think that could be the only way Chelsea sort of sneak themselves into it. But I'm not going to apply too much pressure. But I do think we're at a stage now where Chelsea probably should be getting Champions League football this season, which
I
is
think
above my
top
expectations.
4 is absolutely a given for Chelsea, in my opinion. I think along with City, Arsenal and Liverpool, you'll be the 4th team. I know they're saying it's 5 places. I actually had Villa with you and Chelsea, but you and Villa, but they look a mess at the moment. I mean, wow. Don't know what's happened to Unai Emery. Second season syndrome again for Unai, it seems. So we'll see what happens there. Lee, just a quick word on Chelsea before we come to United.
Yeah, I've been impressed with them. Again, Villa, you can't really say too much, but I think the next weekend will show you all we need to know about Chelsea when they go to Spurs. Spurs, difficult team to beat. You don't know what you're going to get with Spurs, if to be really honest, but they've not won their last 2 home games. I think it's their last 3 home games they've not won, Spurs. So that'd be a difficult game for Chelsea. But if they can overcome that, beat them, get something from there.
I'd really say, Lee, that I won money yesterday on Spurs because that was the most obvious result ever. I just knew they weren't going to win. It was so obvious. I was like,
I don't know about that. You were saying how they're going to win it. Like you was panicking at the end there.
I did because I thought, the only reason why I said that because I put money on it. I thought, here we go, they're going to bloody win it now because I've put money on it. I just thought it was so obvious they were going to drop because they beat City, yet they can't beat Ipswich and they can't beat Fulham. That is Spurs. That is Spurs, isn't it?
And I get what you're saying there, but I think, Dan, and a lot of Chelsea fans are playing down the title chain, and rightly so. I get what they're saying. If Chelsea are in for a title, are going to be in for this title or challenge for the title, let's see what they do next week. If they go to Tottenham and beat Tottenham convincingly, I think that you turn around and you've got to say, with the players that they've got some bloody good players in that side, you know what I mean? And Enzo Fernandez yesterday really impressed me. He's not been one of my players that I thought, wow, I know they spent a lot of money on him and everything like that, but I thought, well, not really impressed. But he's just starting to turn into some good performances. Like Caicedo's back to his very, very best. And Jackson keeps scoring goals now. Like people with a lot of criticism in him, and what he can do. I think that he's getting better and better all the time. So let's see what happens next week. I think it'd be before I start making judgments on them for the title. But at this moment in time, I think that they're in there because they've got a squad. They've also got, again, Dan will come back with me with little stats, and we haven't won after we played in the Europa League and World Conference and all that. Like they're not playing a high level of football Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, Tuesday.
Noah are a pretty good side, mate. I'll have you know.
Yeah, but what they're doing is they're playing 2 teams at the moment, so their players are getting rested and they're getting that little, and that might benefit towards the end of the season. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But you can see that it is tough when you look at Manchester City. Sorry, not Manchester City. They're experiencing that. What's happening with Villa at this moment in time? Then they're finding it very, very difficult because they was a very, very good team at the beginning of the season and a very, very good team last season. All of a sudden, they're finding it difficult. Newcastle, by the way, have fallen off a cliff since their Champions League shenanigans. So, you know, I do think that's something that you've got to look in. And you look at Liverpool, you look at Manchester City and Arsenal. If you're saying that they're the three that are going to be in the top four, Chelsea haven't got that. So, you know, I'm not writing Chelsea out of this at this moment in time, but I think a lot of questions will be answered next week at the Tottenham Stadium. I don't know who I want to win that game.
I never want Tottenham to win, man.
No, I never want Tottenham to win like that way. So,
flawless big game on Wednesday, bro. Ruben Amorim in town, convincing against Everton, but I kind of expected you to win that game. What have you seen as the kind of early signs that Amorim's changing, and how confident are you going into the Emirates on Wednesday, bro?
We've actually got a manager managing. It's fantastic. It brings tears to my eyes. I couldn't believe it, Potts. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, the manager actually settles up tactically. I'm actually seeing what we do on and off the ball, and I don't need to watch anyone on YouTube explaining to me what we do. And we've repeatedly tried and do it. We do the same thing we attempt to do the same thing every single game. There's an actual game plan now, and we actually apply the game plan. The problem is at points the execution, but we defend the same way in each game. We press the same way on the ball. We do the exact same thing. It might not always work, but there's actually patterns of play. This is why, for example, we've been scoring goals in each of his games. We scored early. The first two games we scored early in the first half, and in the third game the third game, which was Everton, we scored early in the second half. And I watched us repeatedly try and score the same goal. Yeah, like Z said there, like actually scoring tap-ins. Like I said, patterns of play, repeated patterns of play. So it's beautiful, like, and it's great to see a manager managing, and it's refreshing in his press conferences as well when he's talking, because he's stating the obvious. Even before we got the team, he was like, yeah, this team lacks physicality, it lacks athleticism. Been talking about this team being full of marathon runners, and you can't have that in the Premier League. And he spotted that before taking a training session. And then even before that, game one, and then instantly it comes out pretty much after in all the press conferences. Yeah, we need to be better in the final third. We need to score more goals. We need to create more chances. And he was talking about specific players as well. And our attack has been underwhelming for a long, long time now, in particular this group. So that's what it is with Amorim. I'm loving what I'm seeing. My problem going into the game against Arsenal is not him. I don't trust these players. I've seen these players too many times fold going into these type of games. Interesting to see how he'll set up, because this is his first big test. This is the best team we faced under him so far. It's away at Arsenal, first big six-side away.
Mino as well, right? Mino and
no Martinez, no Maino. I don't think Maino would have played anyway, because he just come back from injury, and that was his first game back in a long time, and you could see that because he looked a little bit rusty. So it was just good to see him get like 70 minutes. Martinez, not too fussed about, because as much as I don't rate Luke Shaw on the left side of a back three, I don't mind him. And going into this game, defensively is not the issue. Offensively is my problem. Can we do enough going forward? Number one. And number two, do these players throw it in? Let's say you lot score early, score inside 15, 20 minutes. Do our players chuck it in? That's why I'm not confident, because I've seen these players do that. Go there. Of course I want to win, but go there and compete. That's what I'm looking for. Like, it's literally baby steps for us again. So it's like, go there, compete. Go there, apply the game plan and actually execute it and give Arsenal a game. We've seen sides not as good as Arsenal give them a game. We've seen them take points off Arsenal. Go there and follow suit. So that's where I'm at with it. But am I confident going into the game? Absolutely not. Because as much as we've been better under Amorim and we've improved, it's still nowhere. It's still not good enough, but it's better. So we'll see what's what.
The panel think Amorim can take Man United forward to a stage where they could actually save their season and have a successful one. And what I mean by that is, can they win a trophy, maybe Europa League, maybe a domestic cup, and can they finish in the top six quite comfortably under Ruben Amorim? Does anyone think that? Because I genuinely like the manager. I rate him.
Yeah, I think Manchester United probably could get top six. I think Amorim, like Flawless said, this United squad has got talent. It's got ability in it. Okay, there's definitely places where they can make improvements, but all it takes is a manager to just set them up in a way that they can understand, and I think they'll get results. And I think ultimately, if the fans can't understand it, the players aren't going to understand what Ten Hag was asking them to do. I think it is that simple. Ten Hag was obviously overcomplicating things with how he was asking his team to play. Ruben Amorim's system, by the way, is we've seen that work a number of times with different managers. when you apply that system well and the players get it, that system can win you titles. It's that good. You've got a player everywhere on the pitch. And I'm not saying they're going to go and win a title now, but we've seen him win it with Sporting, and we've seen how good that system can be when it works. So, yeah, Manchester United are moving in the right direction, as much as that pains me.
Interesting couple of weeks for Man United, I think. Really interesting couple of weeks. You know, there's rumours that Bruno Fernandes is injured for this game. Taken off or something. So I've just reading. They've got a couple of problems here, but listen, this manager has come in. I think if I'd be really honest, in a win-win situation. Like, they're bloody awful under Ten Hag. Like, now he's got some winnable games coming up. He's got a couple of big games as well, which I think sometimes you need as well. A few winnable games and a couple of big games like Arsenal, like Man City, which will show you where you're at. So, like, you expect to beat Everton, which you have done. Like, now you go to Arsenal. If you it will show you how far you need to go or whatever, like blah, 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 blah. Same with Manchester City. Then you've got a quarter-final of a cup against Spurs, which, I'd probably say that Spurs were slight favourites because it's home advantage. It was the other way around. But if they can get a result there, then you're in a semi-final in January. All of a sudden, things could look up for Man United. But it could still go the other way. I think, they're still like learning things, a system and everything like that. But, listen, 4-0 against Everton. I know people will go, oh, it's only Everton. And listen, Everton were poor yesterday. But organising defensively, they're normally good. So is that because Man United put them off their stride? Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they forced them to make mistakes, should I say? So this is going to be an interesting time for Man United. Like, I still think, I'm just looking at the Man United team at this moment in time. Rashford, Fernandes. You know what I mean? Like Casemiro, De Ligt. They've got good players. And the subs coming on, like yesterday, Mason Mount, Garnacho, Shaw, Maguire. They've got a decent squad of players. I'm not saying that they're well beaters, but he's got something he can work with. And if he can get the best out of them, it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Like, Wednesday would be a good test for them. They're playing up against one of the best teams. See what happens. And then, can they then get a result at maybe like in another place in North London? I think they've got a better chance. And see what happens.
Yeah, we will.
Well, yeah, you said Bruno might be injured. He is no loss in this game. Let's just clarify that. He never away from home against the Big Six side, never turns up.
Well, I don't know about that. Come on, he's passed for to
who?
Rashford the last time was class.
Which pass?
It was him, wasn't it, that put the pass into
who? No, it was Ericsson.
No, it
wasn't. Talking about your place.
It was Ericsson, wasn't it? That put the
Ericsson.
Pass. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Bruno never turns up in these games.
Yeah, that's right. It was
Arsenal away,
pass,
Chelsea away, City away. Never.
Is he injured at Ericsson?
No, Ericsson was on the bench. He just don't fit what Amorim's doing. Like this high pressing, high intensity is not that. But Bruno in this game, I seen he went off in the game and he had his ankle taped. It's like probably just don't fancy it. We've seen him duck games before, but that's a whole different conversation.
I bet he's back for the derby.
Probably not. That's a tough. You know what? That is mine. It depends on your form. Well, if you lot start flying, he'll probably miss that too. If you lot carry on like this, he'll be there for that front and center.
I'm interested to see what United bring in January in the summer, because this new structure under a manager knows what they're doing. I mean, Martin, I think you even said it like, oh, this structure, Amorim, I'm a fan of what they're going to try and do. Well, you're not a fan of it, but you agree that it's probably going to be the right move for United. You think they could save their season, have a good end?
Depends what you want as a top season, because Ten Hag won in the FA Cup.
True.
I think United, well, from the United fans I speak to, they want to see a long-term plan. They want to see a plan moving forward. They don't want to win an FA Cup and then go backwards again. It's more of, I think they want to see that, oh, right, we can make Europe, right, next year we can go on and top 4 our challenge. You know what I mean? They've got to see that long-term progression as they're going along. But it depends on, I think Amorim one will be different, how he changes the team when the market's open. Is he going to do the Ten Hag and go down the Sporting road and go and get Gyökeres? Is he going to go and get Heimland? Is he going to go and get all these players? Or is he going to look outside of that? I think it's intriguing for me. But listen, I've always liked Amorim. I like the way he plays football. I do like the wing backs and the way he goes, and like Flawless says about the high press and the intensity. To me, I think he's a very good manager, and there was too much of this snobbery. Oh, he's from the Portuguese league. You know, I saw it in my own fan base. Oh, we don't want him. He's from the Portuguese league. Go and get Alonso. Amorim's won far more than Alonso's ever won. He won 6 trophies. He was the first team. He took Sporting to the first league title in about 19 years or whatever it was. He absolutely got them going. He took the might of Porto and Benfica down in that league, and was doing it playing some nice football. What he's got now is probably a proper budget to play with. He's not dealing on purse strings anymore. He literally is going to have money to spend, and it's going to be intriguing what he does. He's got 2 or 3 players I know that they're on release clauses, because City are actually looking at Heimland as well for January. He's actually on our list, so let's see whoever triggers that one first. So we'll see, but no, I actually think Amorim will do a very good job at United, and that pains me to say it. I always said if they got rid of Ten Hag before Christmas, they could have a shout, and they've done it. They had to do it.
I agree. I think they had to do it, and they did it. I remember Flawless and I speaking 4 weeks ago saying, just get rid of him because you can still save the season. You're in everything. You're in the Europa League. You're still in the Carabao Cup, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Carabao Cup away to Spurs, like Judges mentioned. So we got that. So you're literally potentially 3 wins away from winning a trophy there. FA Cup, we've picked that up before. Europa League is the one I really have my eyes on, and I go, as much as I don't rate the majority of these players, it's a winnable competition. I really want us to target that. And you see how tight the Premier League is. I think from second to 13th, it's like 5 points between. Or something crazy like that. From the team second in the league to 13th. I could be wrong, but it's around that mark. The point I'm making is the league is that condensed that I'm looking at it and going, I don't think we can finish top 4. I don't think we're one of the 4 best sides in the league. But do I think we can finish top 6? Yes. But it's added in not just results. And that's what I like with the manager. He's not just doing results-based analysis. Performances matter. Is it sustainable? I can already see in the first 3 games he's been here what he needs. Profiles. That's why I'm profiles over names. Like people will mention who we get. Like if we go and get a Gyökeres, for example, cool. But Gyökeres is not the only striker that does what Gyökeres does. Maybe at the highest level currently, and that's fine. But that's where we've gone wrong so many times in regards to names over. No. Go and find the profiles required, and that's all across the pitch.
Because you've got Omar Barada now. Of course, you're going to go down the profile road. You've got Omar Barada. So. You nicked all
they did well this
ideas.
summer. Yeah, they did well this summer. Yeah, they did well. Like with regards to the recruitment this summer, I like the vast majority of it because like Mazzarari's been very, very good for us.
By the way, you're absolutely spot on with the league. Do you know how crazy it is?
Yeah.
Sorry, so John's back to City. City haven't won a game in 7. I know Turbin were out the 4 in 5. And Arsenal are only 2 points ahead, and you're slapping teams up now. And we're sat there only 2 points behind. How crazy it is.
Between second, Arsenal was second, but joint obviously by alphabetical order, by the way, which is hilarious. With 25 points, 13th is 18. There's 7 points between second and 13th. That is crazy.
Yeah, it's mad.
It's a mad season.
For the taking. All you have to do is just go on a good run of form, and you can rise up the table. Look how Villa are falling off because they've lost a few games now. And look how Newcastle.
Haven't Villa got 1 win in 8? Is it?
Something crazy like that.
Huh? Terrible run, aren't they? Newcastle are not doing too great. Neither since they beat Arsenal. They've been been shocking, really. Like, you know what I mean? So
See, Ollie Watkins has missed 13 big chances, more than
yeah,
anyone.
just a couple of good chances he missed.
Boy,
the
is
other
that
day.
Yeah,
missed
yesterday.
Like, I mean,
Whoa.
against us judges, he was nightmare. Missed 2
Yeah, he
open goals.
missed 2 open goals, didn't he? Well, 2 very, very good chances.
You missed 2 against you lot.
Yeah.
Incredible. Listen, big up to every single one of you. Absolute legends. Thank you all for the super chats. Really appreciate it as well. Make sure that you do follow every single one of these people. Make sure you follow That's Me Flawless, Sarcasm City TV, BDB Dan, of course, as well. Martin at the Mancunian Way. Make sure you follow Football's 12th Man and Lead Judges TV, and you're subscribed to both. Last super chat of the day is from Ad, which says Foden has 0 goals since the start of the Euros. Hashtag protected. We're not going to get into the Foden, Palmer, and Saka debate again because we'll be here all day. So big up to all of you guys, man. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button on this channel. This is going to redirect you over to Saeed, who's at the moment on with a panel. LB is crying, bless him. So make sure you go and take a listen to that one. Until then, we'll see you next time. We're out of here. Up the Arsenal. Latest, people.